Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another range report. And today's range report is on a very high quality Glock clone made by ZEV Technologies. This is the OZ-9. Now, ZEV Technologies is a company that essentially makes high-quality Glock-style firearms. And when I say Glock-style, I mainly mean the mechanism inside is a Glock, but there are no Glock parts on this. And the price of these is quite expensive. So essentially, you are getting a Glock made of the finest components, or that's how they're advertised. But before I get into this range report, give you guys my initial thoughts and impressions and tell you what I don't like and like about this firearm, I want to thank all the people that make these videos constantly possible. First and foremost, the person that lent me this gun, a local subscriber named Ken. I am honored that he trusted me enough to let me borrow this, and he even said I can say anything about this gun that I like, meaning if I don't like it, he won't have his feelings hurt. I also want to thank all of my Patreon supporters who support me every single month. I'm honored beyond words that they think my content is worth their financial support. And of course, my primary sponsor for all of these range reports, Brownworks. If you guys have been watching my range reports recently, you guys know that I talk so much about the high quality craftsmanship at Brownworks. Mark over there makes some of the finest custom grips for many different types of firearms. He can produce grips made out of the most exotic woods, put on custom logos and engravings, finish them any way that you can imagine. I even believe he now offers grips with snakeskin finishes. It's really amazing all of the products and finishes and different types of grips he has to offer. And he is supporting me here at the Texas Gun Vault, so I am asking you to go and support him. If you guys are in the market for custom grips, go check out Brownworks' website. I promise you will not be disappointed. And if there's something over there on the website that you don't see, give Mark an email, give Mark a call. He has great customer service. He will get back to you, and I promise will fix you up with the grips of your dreams. I also want to talk about another product. Maybe you guys are not in the market for grips, don't have any guns that take wood grips. You're a tactician and a tactical guy, maybe like I am, and you are looking for something special. Well, Brownworks has something for you too. In fact, I just got this in the mail. This is a laser engraved magazine. See if I can get that in focus. Check that out. So he is now selling these custom engraved Magpul PMag. So if you have some type of custom logo or some type of design that you want on your modern sporting rifle magazines, he can do it. Go over to his website and check out this new product. So not only is he catering to the guys that like old school guns, he's catering to the guys that like new school guns. So he has something for everyone. So please go check out Brownworks. I'm going to put a link in the description below and pin a comment. And if you find something you like, please use the discount code for 10% off your order. So please tell Mark thank you for supporting the Texas Gun Vault. All right, so let's talk about this particular gun. Now, as I said, this is the OZ9 by ZEV Technologies. Just holding this gun, you would have to admit it definitely feels and seems extremely high quality. Now, I am going to go ahead and give you guys a warning here, because I know that some people that watch my videos like to get their panties in a twist when I say something about a firearm that they may like and I say something negative about that firearm. Well, this isn't really a negative statement per se, but this is a Glock clone. Going into this review, I was very apprehensive. After all, Glocks, well, they claim that they're perfection. And you can get most Glock models anywhere between $475 and maybe $650. So when you buy a gun that is essentially a Glock clone, now yes, there are no Glock parts on this and every part of this gun is custom made, is it really worth 3 times the price of a Glock? Well, that's something I want to see in this range report. I'm kind of curious if this is just essentially a Lexus to a Toyota. You guys know that Toyota makes great cars. Well, Glock makes great guns. But they also own another brand, Lexus. Essentially, it's the exact same car with some frills added on. A nicer interior, maybe some color options on the outside you normally can't get on a Toyota. Some nicer rims. But underneath the hood, it's still a Toyota. Well, is this still a Glock? I don't know. I do have to say one thing that is really different about this gun as compared to a Glock is the fact that this has a modular trigger pack system. So the frame is essentially the same size as a Glock and the mechanism and how it operates is the same. The trigger group is actually modular. That is pretty innovative. So this isn't an exact clone, but it is heavily Glock inspired. But just handling this gun, there is absolutely no doubt that this is a quality firearm. You look at all of the cutouts on the slide, you look at the aesthetics of this gun, you look at all of the small parts and all of the attention to detail, and you realize that ZEV Technologies really does take a lot of pride in building these guns. These aren't just some run-of-the-mill Glock clone. So with that said, and giving you guys a little bit of background of what I know about these pistols, let's talk about the things I like and don't like. And I always like to start with the things that I do like. And I have to say, there's a lot about this pistol that I do like. I've already mentioned the big one, the aesthetics of this gun. When you hold it, as I said, it feels quality. It just looks great. It's balanced well. It's definitely heavier than a standard Glock because there's a lot more metal components in it. I can tell you when it comes to dry firing this gun, the trigger in this firearm is absolutely fantastic. It is a lot better than a stock Glock. It has no creep. It doesn't have as strong as a wall as I would like it to have, but it feels great. And I think that a lot of people who say these guns shoot extremely accurate is a lot because of the trigger. It's a well-made gun, but this trigger is definitely a huge step up from the stock Glock platform. Something else about this gun that I like is that it borrows from the Generation 3 and earlier Glocks, in that the recoil mechanism, or the recoil spring, is a single recoil spring versus the dual recoil springs that you find in the Generation 4 and the Generation 5. This gun is chambered in 9mm, and I always thought those double recoil springs were a little bit of overkill. Maybe they work great in the subcompact Glocks, especially the ones chambered in the more powerful cartridges, but for 9mm and a gun like this, which is the full size, you don't really need that extra power. It added a lot of complexity, and when Glock came out with those double recoil springs, there were a lot of problems with it. I always thought the Generation 3 recoil spring was better, and that's what ZEV uses here. Finally, something else I really like about this gun is the crown on the barrel. This gun, as I said, is supposed to be extremely accurate, and they put a very nice crown on that barrel. And those crowns can really add a lot to the accuracy of a firearm. So although Glock has their marksman barrel, I definitely believe this is a huge step up. The slide is also milled if you want to put a red dot on it, and I believe all standard Glock sights will work on this. Now, this gun came with some really awesome sights. It has a fiber optic front sight, and the rear sight is just blacked out, and I believe these are ZEV Technologies sights. They're very attractive, and you can acquire your target very, very quick. Alright, so let's talk about a few things about this gun that I don't like. And actually that list is extremely small, and the items on this list I think are things that most people could overlook. First off, this grip does have one finger groove. I know for a lot of people that's not going to be a big deal. I don't like guns with finger grooves all that often. There are a few that I like the HK45. But having that one finger groove, I think, adds the detail of the Glock that everyone wanted removed, which was the finger grooves, and they fixed that with the Generation 5. It's very small, and it fits my hand well, but I know some people might complain about that finger groove, because as I said, that front face to the grip, I think just feels so much nicer in this type of striker-fired gun. Another small feature about this gun that I don't like, because I could see owning a high quality firearm like this, and maybe you want to SBR it. Yes, there's a lot of accessories out there, so you can SBR your Glock pistols. We have the chassis kits, and then you have the stocks that typically go into the back of the frame of Glock pistols. Well, the frame here doesn't have the cutout for those type of stock attachments, the basic ones that you would see. I kind of wish that they would be compatible with all of those other type of Glock accessories in the back. As I said, I know that is a small complaint, and not a lot of people are going to be SBRing these pistols, but that's something that I definitely would like to see. Now, the last thing I think is the biggest, and that is going to be the grip texture on the frame. This has quite an aggressive texture. Now, I know a lot of people that shoot Glocks are going to want this. I know a lot of people love to have that sandpaper type of finish and have some type of finish that they say is not going to slip out of their hand under stress. And I totally understand that. And I would have to say, if I was a police officer or in the military, a grip like this would be exactly what I would want. However, I personally think that for the casual shooter, and maybe somebody that is not into guns maybe as much as you or I am, would find this texture to be really too grippy and too aggressive. And I'll tell you that when I showed this pistol to my wife, that was the first thing she said. She goes, "Oh, that's a great looking gun." She held it and went, "Ooh, wow, I don't know if I like that grip texture." And we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we get to her portion of the range report, when she gets to shoot it. But speaking of shooting it, let's put our first rounds through this gun. Well, I'm going to give you a little spoiler alert on this one. We're going to have some trouble. Now, when I took this to the range, I got a little bit worried. I was thinking, oh my gosh, is this gun a dud, or am I shooting the wrong type of ammo through it? But it turned out I messaged Ken, and he told me he's had the same problem with other ZEVs, and these guns are notorious for this problem, and they have to be broken in, and after so many rounds, this issue will go away. But I wanted to document it on camera. The main reason is you might be somebody looking at one of these pistols, don't know about this, buy it, and then take it to the range and think, oh no, I have a problem with this gun and I need to get it fixed. Or you might think the gun is a piece of junk. Well, I'm going to show you exactly what happened to me when I first tried to shoot it. Already have failure to feed. So as you saw, we had some problems with some failures to feed. The round started to go up the feed ramp, but I don't think the back of the case, and more specifically the rim, was allowed to go underneath the extractor. It seemed like the extractor might be a little bit out of spec, or the spring was a little bit too strong. So my first thoughts were I was using bad or out of spec ammunition. And the ammunition I brought for this range report was Remington UMC 115 grain. Now this is the exact box that the ammunition in this range report came out of. And as I said, I was a little bit worried that that was the issue, that, oh no, I brought bad ammunition. Well, luckily, I had some other ammunition on hand that I was going to use to see if the gun would feed hollow points, because I had heard these guns had very tight tolerances, and sometimes hollow points don't want to feed. So now I'm just going to run about 5 or 6 rounds of this Winchester Train and Defend 9mm through it, and we're going to see if this ammunition works, which might indicate that the other ammunition is a little bit out of spec. All right, so I'm having some feeding issues with the UMC 115 grain 9mm. We're now going to try the Winchester 9mm Luger to fit. All right, so those seem to work just fine. Now, I did contact Ken, and as I said, he told me he had another ZEV that had the exact same problem. The gun just needs to be broken in. So I trusted him, and I said, okay, I'll load up another magazine with some more UMC. I've had a few rounds through this thing now. Who knows, maybe it's gonna loosen up. I know what to expect, so let's see if I can get it to run with the UMC again. All right, so we were much more successful that time when we finally got our first magazine through this gun. So now that I've gotten to shoot it and enjoy it, how does it shoot? Well, it is extremely accurate, especially for a Glock. Typically with Glocks, I shoot low and to the left, and I don't have that problem with this firearm. It has such an amazing trigger, and the recoil on this gun is so nice. And I think a lot of that has to do with the extra and added weight of the gun in total. As I said, it has a lot more metal parts to it, and it feels really good in my hand. It's a weightier gun, it's full size, and with that excellent trigger and great sight picture with these ZEV sights, it's a lot of fun to shoot. I did have one issue with that first round, just getting it in the battery, so maybe the gun is breaking in a little bit, but overall, I'm really impressed. Well, now we're going to go to what I usually call the accuracy portion of the test, and it's not really to see how accurate the gun is, it's just to see, can I shoot the gun at a further distance well and still shoot a tight group? Well, I'm going to set the target out at 15 yards, and now I'm going to go for the head on the same IDPA target. I actually got some pretty high hopes for this pistol. As I said, this thing is shooting great for me, and it's breaking in a little bit, but the accuracy is outstanding. So here we go, magazine, 10 rounds, 15 yards, shooting for the head. Let's see what happens. All right, so I'm still having a few that aren't going into battery. Now in the past, when I tried to force them into battery, they wouldn't go, but now they're going easier. So who knows, maybe the gun is breaking in. I'm not really a big fan of a gun you have to break in or are going to have this type of issue in the beginning. As I said, a lot of people might buy this gun at a gun store and think, it's going to run great out of the box, and that's not the case. I really kind of feel like even though the gun is made with extremely tight tolerances, that's something that needs to be addressed. I also noticed that when you're trying to take your time and shoot this gun accurately, this grip texture really does start to get in the way. As I said, as a tactical gun, this grip texture is phenomenal. It is exactly what I would want. But if you're buying this gun to have fun at the range, it's just too aggressive. When I was taking my time with these shots, trying to get a nice tight grip, it kind of bothered my hand a little bit. It's just too aggressive. And now maybe they offer different textures, and I would like something that might have a little bit less aggressiveness or sandpaper feel to it. It's just too much. But I know that's the new hot thing when it comes to all of these polymer wonder nines. Everyone wants the best stippled, most aggressive texture they can possibly get. And I think that's well and fine. But it doesn't work for everybody. So for me, it might be a little bit too on the aggressive side. I think the most aggressive I like is kind of about the Glock Gen 4 or Gen 5 type of texture, those little tiny pyramids. Yeah, they can be a little bit hard and they can kind of dig in your hand a little bit, but they're not too bad. This is just way too sandpapery for me. But as I said, I know it's probably going to be great for other people. All right, so now I'm going to give my wife Becky a shot at this. I've already told you what she thought and her initial impressions when it came to this grip and holding it, but I think she's going to shoot it pretty accurately. I don't know for certain, but let's find out. So she didn't shoot that as well as I thought she would. She said her main issue was the grip texture was just too aggressive and it kind of hurt her hands. This brings up an issue that I find in many of my range reports. Often I will cite something about a firearm that I don't like, but other people that find this aspect of the firearm either tolerable or something that they like think that the rest of my range report is complete junk, that I don't know what I'm talking about. I can't tell you how many people in the comment section of my range reports tell me how stupid I am, that this is the greatest gun that has ever been invented, and I need to go look at this video made by one of their YouTube heroes. I try to tell you guys constantly that just because I have an opinion, in this case, the grip texture is too aggressive, doesn't mean that your opinion of this grip texture is wrong, or that it wouldn't work for you. Now, my wife does go shooting a lot with me. She loves firearms, but she's an average gun owner and gun shooter like I am. And so for her, this was a deterrent. So just because it works for you or it works well for your girlfriend or wife doesn't mean it's going to work well for everybody else. So I want to bring that up because I think it's a really important point when it comes to being a discerning gun owner and a discerning buyer of firearms, that not everything is going to work for everyone else. And just because it works for you or your favorite YouTube gun hero doesn't mean it is the correct thing for everybody. Everyone should like it. It's okay that we disagree. All right, so the next thing I want to do is the defensive use. Essentially, can I change this magazine out really fast? I'm going to shoot about 5 rounds in 2 magazines and see if I can get the gun back in action. This is just one of those things where I talk about if you have a home invader, you need to change magazines. Well, I definitely want a gun that's not going to have any hang-ups. So this gun seems to be running a little bit better now. It's breaking in, so I feel like this could be a successful test and a gun that is as well designed as this for tactical applications applications, I'm not going to have any issues whatsoever. So let's see how fast I can shoot this thing and how fast I can change the magazine. Well, I have to say that this gun ran as expected. I had high expectations for this because of what the gun is designed for, and it ran great. This doesn't really have a very flared magazine well, but it's perfect. When it came to these Magpul Glock mags, I was able to find that mag well and reinsert it and get the gun back in action really fast. So I had no problems with that. I think it's well designed, but it's not overdone. The last portion of this range report I want to do is run a full magazine of these hollow points through it. As I mentioned, sometimes these guns with tight tolerances are going to have problems with hollow points. It's just the nature of the beast, and if you're going to carry a gun like this, maybe in the more compact version, you're probably going to want to carry hollow points. So I wanted to make sure that they were going to run. So here's a magazine with hollow points in it, and I also kind of wanted to test the accuracy. The target will be set again at 7 yards.
So, that Winchester hollow point.
And once again, the gun is accurate. I have to say, that probably is the biggest selling point on this as compared to a stock Glock for me, is the accuracy. I shoot this thing exceptionally well. I'm extremely impressed with it. It seems to take the problems that I have innately with all Glocks and fixes them. This gun is dead on. I'm very impressed with that. But obviously, the biggest problem is going to be this break-in period or problems with failures to feed. Now, as I said, Ken said he had the same problem with other ZEVs, and other people report the same problems. But once you get 500 rounds through them, they're supposed to run like clocks and have no issues whatsoever. Now, why is that? Are the tolerances of this gun too tight? Are the springs too sprung? I don't know. Now, I have no problem having to break in a gun for it to run a little bit more reliable. But for me, this is going to be unacceptable, especially for a gun that you're going to pay north of $1,600 or $1,700 for. And yes, you heard me right. $1,600 or $1,700 for a gun of this caliber. And yeah, I guess that's kind of a pun. But in this case, caliber means quality. Now, at the heart, it's still a Glock. And I'm going to say something here that might offend people. I personally find it very difficult to spend this type of money for a gun that is a Glock. Now, I know there are people right now frantically typing in the comment section, "Jason, you're an idiot. That's not a Glock. It's hardly a Glock." It is a Glock action. When you take this gun apart, you realize, well, maybe not every part is to the same Glock specifications. There's upgraded parts and polished parts and redesigned parts. It's still a Glock action. And so essentially, Gaston Glock did all of the R&D for ZEV. Now, I say that kind of in jest, but the mechanics of this gun are essentially a Glock. Now, does that mean it's a bad gun? Well, absolutely not. Glocks are amazing guns as they are, from the factory in Austria. And so when a company like ZEV takes that design and puts in such amazingly built quality parts, well, you know it's going to be an even better gun. So there is no doubt in my mind this is a better built and better, I'm going to say, designed gun than a Glock, but it still is a Glock clone. Does that warrant the extremely high price? Well, the only person that knows that is you. Now, for me, I don't think it is. For me, this is a quality gun, and I would have no problem probably buying one, well, if it didn't have that break-in issue, for about $1,100. For me, this is an $1,100, $1,200 pistol. But for $1,700, I'm probably not a buyer. But as I said, does that mean this is a piece of junk? By absolutely no means am I saying that. This is a fantastic gun. And if you have bought one of these pistols and absolutely love it and have no problems with it and maybe even paid more, well, I am in no way criticizing you. I am glad that you found the gun that ran well for you. So what are my final thoughts on the ZEV Technologies OZ9? Well, it is an extremely high quality, well built, well thought out Glock clone. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that this is just one awesome pistol. It is exceptionally accurate. It feels great in my hand with the exception of that grip texture. I love all of the designs and all the cutouts on the slide. It's really a nice gun. Is it for me? At the price point, no. But I know for some people it is. And I know the owner of this pistol absolutely loves it, and that's the only thing that matters. So with all of that said, on my star system, how would I rate the OZ9 by ZEV Technologies? Well, I'm going to give this one two different ratings. So as a gun, I'm actually going to give it 4.5 stars out of 5. I really want to give it 3.5 stars because of all of those failures to feed and the known issue when it comes to a break-in period. I don't think any gun like this should have that type of break-in period with those issues. But I'm going to give it 4 out of 5 stars because obviously it's so well built and this company has such a good reputation. Now, for my personal score on how I feel about this gun, I really only give it 2.5 stars out of 5. And that's going to be because of the issues with the break-in period, but also the cost. I personally think they're asking a lot of money for one of these pistols. And with that expectation, I have certain things that I don't want to happen. Number one, I don't want to have to break in the gun that much. And another small gripe that I have is I kind of expect them to give me something else besides a paper box. For that price, you could at least give me a plastic box. Yeah, the box is marked ZEV. It's kind of a nice paper box, but it's still just a paper box. And that's a small gripe. And I know some people, when it comes to their pistol cases, are going to buy the pistol, throw away the box, or just put it up in the cabinet. But for me, I like the box to be nice, especially on higher end guns. So 2.5 stars out of 5 is my personal rating, but for what the gun is, 4 stars out of 5. So that's it. My personal thoughts, opinions, and rating on the OZ9 by ZEV Technologies. So what do you guys think? Did I get it wrong? Are my gripes superficial and stupid? I'd love to know in the comment section below, and I would love to know if you own one of these pistols and if you have the same break-in period that this gun supposedly needs. That's something that I would like to investigate further. So let me know in the comment section below, and as always, thanks for watching.